Welcome to Champions for Life, the radio ministry of First Choice Pregnancy Services here in Las Vegas. I'm Deborah, the Executive Director of First Choice.
And I'm Ken.
And we are Champions for Life.
Hey, welcome Las Vegas to the Champions for Life radio broadcast and outreach ministry of First Choice Pregnancy Services. And we're just so delighted to be with you here today. And of course, the host of the broadcast is AWOL. No, she's not AWOL. It's Deborah Costello. She's on the telephone. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, I was last week, though. Sorry, folks. Well, you were in good hands. Ken's got you all.
Well, you know, there's a lot going on today. In fact, for those of you who will be seeing this online, you know, the host of your show is looking pretty snazzy right now. And that is because there is a gala right after this broadcast at the Durango Casino hosted by National Right to Life, or Nevada Right to Life, actually. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be there and see what's going on with those folks now that we have a new administration. So I'm kind of so the host of the broadcast doesn't get to see her co-host, you know, looking good actually.
I'm sure you're dapper on set.
So what's going on? What's going on at First Choice this week, Madam Host?
Well, we have been really busy. We had 25 women on Tuesday. 11 of those women were all seeking abortions. Our clientele case is definitely up with a lot of the harder situations. I just had a meeting with my executive staff today, and we're talking about just really how the demographics of our patients have changed so drastically in the last couple of years, particularly with the Hispanic folk. On top of that, we're fighting the good fight for our doctor. She's kind of getting drug out with medical board stuff right now, so got a lot going on right now for everybody who's been following that situation. I just would ask you to keep Dr. Hamza in your prayers. Pray that God would give us wisdom and direction and what the best steps and approaches are to addressing this situation and trying to put an end to the injustice that is being done to her, because it is it's really hard to watch what's going on to her, knowing how it's affecting her life. Yet you have the chief abortionist in the city who has a record with pedophilia, and he is freely moving about the city without any ramifications, it would appear, for what he's done.
Yeah, and that's an incredible thing. For those of you, just for clarity, Dr. Hamza is the medical director for First Choice Pregnancy Services, and she's the one that actually makes it happen. And for those of you who don't know, First Choice Pregnancy Services is a pregnancy help center which helps young ladies who are in a crisis with their pregnancy, perhaps even considering abortion. And one of the amazing things that First Choice does is something that's done nowhere else in the state. It's called abortion reversals. Abortion reversals. Now, this is for young ladies who have taken the abortion pill and have changed their mind, that they want the baby after all, that they've made a terrible mistake. And what the ladies can do is they can call First Choice Pregnancy Services, and Dr. Hamza will rush that young lady to a hospital and begin the procedure to save that baby's life. And it's the only place.
It's gotten simpler than that now. She can have them come to First Choice, and we do an ultrasound, see if the baby is alive, and then she will call in to the pharmacy and tell them what to give that patient.
Wow.
That it's not that complicated anymore of having to take that extra step to go to the hospital. But that's another key as to why they're going after her. When I talked to American Center for Law and Justice recently, they said the one thing that we find in common with all of these pregnancy centers is the centers that are doing the abortion pill reversals are the ones that are primarily being targeted.
Right.
So,
that's why Dr. Hamza is facing such critical attack, because the medical community, unfortunately, in this state, is very much in favor of abortion. And if they have a doctor who is very pro-life and is actually providing care that actually helps the children of mothers who are contemplating abortion, then no, you can't do that. And so they're making it very difficult for her for her practice, for licensing, everything. And
it was really sweet today. Talk about God's timing. One of the abortion pill reversal moms that she did late last fall texted a video of her little boy. He's about 5 months old. Beautiful little African American baby. Has a really big afro. He woke up at 6:45 Sunday morning. It was a video of him at 6:45 Sunday morning, just smiling and kind of rocking on his all fours. And so I texted that over to Dr. Hamza today, and I said, here's one of your APR babies, abortion pill reversal babies. And
that might actually be a good.
We fight for.
Yeah, that might be a great defense. When you're submitting this to the medical examiners, whoever it is, it's making life difficult for her, and say, listen, these are my two patients that I have, both of which are alive today because I was there. If we had followed the opinion of some of the others, there would only be one of my patients would have survived, and the other one would be dead. You would think this would be an easy argument to make to, the powers that be in the medical community and leadership here in our state. But the sad reality is, abortion, not only is it just very profitable, but it's such a, I don't know, it's such a divergence from culture, and I'm struggling to phrase this correctly, but it's the antithesis of life. And so it seems as though anyone that has anything to do with preserving life, standing up for life, anyone who is against abortion, thinking that it might be a bad idea, they somehow have run up against the culture. And now it seems like the responsibility of the powers that be to tamp those people down. And when it extends to the medical community, which this has to, because it is a medical issue, then those doctors then face greater scrutiny. And sometimes when the pro-abortion folks who are in leadership are even more rabid, shall I say, then they begin to make life more difficult. I really hope. Basically what this is just a form of bigotry. It is religious discrimination. I don't know how it shouldn't even be considered religious. This is an ethics. This is a human rights issue. I really hope that lawsuits are filed and that they win. That Dr. Hamza wins.
Some of the conversations I've been on the phone for the last few hours about is just like how, first of all, we want to bring her on staff so that we can start paying her. So if any of you listeners would like to be a part of helping make that possible, please reach out to us and let us know. We are going to make every effort to try to bring her on staff, because with this situation, they're just drying her out financially, trying to crush her. So, I mean, there's many things that cry out on this, and what avenue and approaches are the best way, are kind of the discussions that I've been having. It's unfortunate when you have to sit here and think about politics and retribution and the case still being open and what that means and what that can entail. Ultimately, I have no doubt that God is going to vindicate her, but nonetheless, when you're in the midst of that situation and it's your life, it's a rough place to be.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And so, if you listen to this broadcast today and you believe in life, listen, First Choice Pregnancy Services, been there 20 years. 45,000 babies are alive today because they exist, that we know of, that are documented, that we know, right? 45,000.
Yeah.
And
My 20th
so,
birthday is coming up in 2 weeks.
I'm the proof's in the pudding. This ministry is making a difference for life. There are people that are alive today and are grateful to be alive because First Choice exists. And Dr. Hamza is a key part in making that happen. So here's the deal. First of all, perhaps you're not able to financially support. We would love you if you could, but pray for Dr. Hamza in this situation because it directly affects the care at First Choice Pregnancy Services. We need Dr. Hamza, and we obviously need her on staff. So, and for those of you who are business owners and perhaps sit on the board of corporations where, philanthropic dollars can be allotted to worthy charities, First Choice Pregnancy Services is a 501c3 organization, and they don't charge the clients that they see through their door not one penny. Everything is free. Or the babies.
Or maybe you are a person of influence that knows people that can apply some pressure to this situation. There's definitely people that can apply pressure to this situation and demand that some justice be done, that she's given a fair shake at things.
Well, after January 1st, maybe, January 16th, whenever the new administration kicks in,
20th, I think.
Perhaps there will be some further help in that regard.
Yeah.
But time will tell. Time will definitely tell. And so, if you are considering your last end of the year contributions, there is no finer place than First Choice Pregnancy Services. It is a clinic. It is a clinic for women who are perhaps contemplating abortion, or maybe don't have any other answer, so they think, than abortion. And First Choice does wonderful things. They not only will they give them free pregnancy, all the medical care is free sonogram, free counseling, free pregnancy test. They will supply them with material needs as well, and you can help be a part of that. And so if you're looking to make an end of the year donation, make it a big one, and make it I'm serious. 5 digits would be wonderful to help First Choice. In fact, the goal is to open up another clinic. This is another reason why we need more Dr. Hamzas. We need more doctors standing for life, because as Deborah's put it beautifully, Las Vegas is underserved by clinics such as First Choice Pregnancy Services. We have over 1 million plus women here. And I don't know what the percentage is of those who are of childbearing age, but presumably 500,000 easy, and you have the next generation coming up of young ladies, and they need places like First Choice Pregnancy Services to be there for them when they perhaps run into trouble. And so,
for context on that, when you might think 2 million people, how many pregnancy centers do you need? Well, when I moved here to open First Choice 20 years ago, I moved here from Kansas City, Missouri. We had 16 pregnancy centers in Kansas City area for 2 million people. So there's only 2 of us here in Vegas, so that gives you a little idea of how underserved Las Vegas is when it comes to pregnancy resource centers.
Wow. You had 16 in Kansas City, and we have 2 in Las Vegas. That's just crazy. So we need you. We need your help. And for those of you, again, making end-of-year donations, First Choice Pregnancy Services, here's the telephone number. Give them a call. Say, listen, heard Ken on the radio. Maybe you heard us on over the internet. Here's the number, 702-294-CARE. That's 702-294-2273. And say, you know what? Our company, our business, would like to be a yearly sponsor or make an end-of-year donation, whatever the case may be. Or maybe you would like to help us open the next First Choice Pregnancy Services here in Las Vegas, so that there would be 3. Actually, just for clarity, the other I believe it's called Ali Faye. I could be mistaken. Is the other crisis
All
pregnancy
Life.
center in town, and of course, First Choice is the other. 2 is not enough. 2 is simply not enough to handle the influx of women that are coming on a daily basis, to both of these centers, and we need more. We need more. We need more
there's
professionals.
3 abortion clinics, so they've even outnumbered pregnancy centers. 3 full-time dedicated abortion clinics. There's a total of 9 places in Las Vegas that perform abortions, though. So even if you compare it to the number of locations that are murdering babies, we're still way outnumbered.
Yeah, so that's it. End of the year donation. And listen, you will get a tax deduction. But even if you didn't get a tax deduction for your donation to First Choice, it's still a great idea. I mean, it's just, I remember when we went to the the gala that First Choice had for their 20th anniversary, and getting to meet and hear the testimony of several of these moms and couples whose babies were there, and they were just bundles of joy. I've got my picture with a couple of them, and it's just the happiness, the joy. They were so beautiful couples, and the babies were just bouncing around and just so much happy. In fact, I don't think I even heard one baby cry through the whole thing. Maybe, but I if they did, I don't remember. And it was just such happiness that these couples, as opposed to someone who has gone through an abortion and now only has a date in their mind to regret and remember.
Yeah.
And instead, birthdays. I mean, everybody loves birthdays. Everybody loves birthdays. And when your baby has their first one, your baby's going to love birthdays forever and ever. And so again, if you're thinking about making an end-of-year donation or a monthly donation, listen, your dollar could not go further than it does at First Choice Pregnancy Services, helping these young ladies and families have their child. And it just...
Your gift gives life.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
It's literally the gift of life.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of the gift of life, we must take a moment to acknowledge one of the sponsors that make this broadcast possible. First Choice, the Champions for Life radio broadcast. First Choice would exist whether the show was here or not, to be frank. But this show you're being able to hear that today because of our great sponsors. And we'd like you to visit them, such as RTS Postal Express. Now, RTS does their copy. Remember the old Kinko's? The Kinko. This is the old Kinko's, right? This is RTS Postal Express. They do everything they did and more. Angelo is running the show out there. RTS, I always like to say it stands for really terrific service because I love Angelo. They do letterheads, business cards, banners, large or small, business flags for your business standing out front, waving in the wind, resumes, color copies, black and white, doesn't matter. How about your business logo on your shirt or your coffee cup? How awesome would that be? For those of you who are thinking about Christmas gifts this year, and how great would it have to have an employee with the company logo and their name on it? You know what that means? That means you as a business owner have thought, you know what? I love that employee. I'm going to give them their own cup. You know what? And make sure that it's filled with coffee every morning so they get their... And so that's a great idea. Give RTS Postal Express a call and say, Angelo, thank you for sponsoring our show. I got some business for you. Here's his number, 702-489-4859. That's 702-489-4859, RTS Postal Express. And if you mention Champions for Life radio broadcast or just KKVV, if you mention it, you're going to get 10% off your first order. So how you like that for a little Christmas bonus? A little Thanksgiving happiness right there. RTS Postal Express, Angelo out there, 702-489-4859, proud sponsor of the Champions for Life radio broadcast. So, you know what I got? You know what I saw today? Guess who had their hands in the bloody cookie jar?
Oh, is that the award behind closed doors that was given to the former head of Planned Parenthood?
No, nope.
Oh.
This is the University of California, San Diego. UCSD was it was determined that they were actually buying baby parts, in this case fetal hearts, from viable babies aborted by Planned Parenthood there in San Diego. And so
wow.
there was, it's just a horrible mess of a scandal. And, the funny thing
Why
is,
didn't we see that on the news?
yeah, oh no, you would, first of all, this is actually not new. But what's interesting about this, and yes, that's true, y'all. Fetal tissue being sold is not a new thing, but when you have a preponderance of evidence and collusion between two entities, then it looks more like you're just more than just purchasing fetal tissue, as horrible as that is, from abortion clinics. Now you are advocating or trying to procure abortions specifically to fit what is needed by a university medical research laboratory. And that's what looks like what was happening here. These were dealing with 23-week-old children for dubious research. And this involved what they were calling illegal partial birth abortions. And the crazy part about this was that, is that they wanted to make sure that the child, unfortunately, was still alive. So in order to make sure that happens, well, you can't dismember the baby in the womb. You have to birth the baby and then kill it. And this, therefore, the organs and such, and in this case, the fetal hearts that the University of California, San Diego was looking for, was intact and not damaged from, a typical abortion procedure. And I think that, what do they call that, a D&E? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And so now they got their hands in the cookie jar, and some Congress is now taking a look at this. And in March, Senator Marco Rubio requested an investigation by the United States Department of Justice, Health and Human Services. And he said that, the transfer of any aborted human fetal tissue for valuable consideration, bottom line is for money, is a federal felony punishable up to 10 years in fine or 10 years in prison or a fine of up to $500,000. And so where is this going to go? We don't know. But this is something that we've been telling you about. The fact that these abortion facilities, when because everyone says that late-term abortions don't occur, there's no need for them, it's extremely super-duper rare, and you know what? Excuse me, but an intact child is very, very valuable to medical research laboratories and universities for various reasons. And I don't want to get into it particularly, but some of your vaccines that you may take were procured with the use. Doesn't mean they have aborted fetal tissue in the vaccine, but in testing the reaction with human tissue, the vaccine, and so a lot of times these research laboratories like Merck comes to mind in particular, uses aborted fetal tissue to test the viability of their vaccines. And it's not all vaccines, but I mean, that's out there. Do your research. So it's just a sad thing about where we are in our culture today. Where these beautiful babies, whose hearts are beating, there's so much joy. I remember seeing a baby one time taken by Life magazine. This picture had to be 30, 40 years old, and he's sucking his thumb in the womb. And these babies are fine. They're happy. They're living life. They're living their best life in the womb, because once they get out, you'd have to deal with life. But, they're just so happy. And yet the abortion business, all they see is dollar signs, And then other companies, they look upon them as just, as research material. And it's just very, very sad. Don't mean to be a downer here on the Champions for Life radio broadcast, but there just needs to be light
I was
brought.
working on a Christmas card. Which, if you aren't on our mailing list, you should call First Choice and join the mailing list. But I was looking at the Christmas card that we're getting ready to send out, and it has 20 babies, 25 babies on it. But I was just thinking as I looked at it the other night, this is why we continue to stand and fight. All these little babies that are going to be the center of the Christmas celebrations this year, because if they get to experience their first Christmas and the joy that those babies have brought to these families, it's far more than the babies pictured on our Christmas card. So the one side of it, the reality of it is very sad, dark, discouraging. The other side of it is very uplifting because these babies got to escape that barbaric procedure and get to celebrate life with their families.
Yeah.
So that's the upside of it.
You know, if Planned Parenthood was around in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, they undoubtedly would have approached the Mother Mary and said, you know, you have options here. You know, where would we? Of course, Mother Mary, being the saint that she was, would have, be gone, be gone, Planned Parenthood. But, our life was changed by a baby. Our entire future, our destiny was changed in Jerusalem, in Bethlehem, by a little baby. It changed it. And, I often wonder sometimes, when you contemplate the millions of babies that have lost their lives from abortion, did we lose the cure to cancer? Did we lose the intended president of the United States? Did we lose the next great Nobel Prize winner in chemistry? Who did we lose? Did we lose the next person that would find free energy for the world? Who did we lose when we allowed these children whose lives to be snuffed out in the womb to the tunes of millions? Well, and if you look worldwide, billions. It has to be. It's hundreds of millions at least. I can't even think of the number. It's just so big.
Yeah, when you think of 73 million around the world last year.
Yeah. You probably have crested a billion easy. That's frightening. But, I often think about that. That's one of the joys, by the way. One of the joys is when you visit First Choice Pregnancy Services, on the wall there is a picture of a lot of times these young ladies, they send the baby after it's born and they send the pictures back to First Choice. And then First Choice takes those pictures and they have this beautiful collage of all these beautiful babies. And it's just, every single one of those little pictures is just a little bit beautiful picture of joy and happiness. And it's such a testament to, the ministry of First Choice and the work that the wonderful staff, the highly underrated staff of First Choice Pregnancy Service, the job that they do there of making a difference for life. I often wonder when I get to heaven, because that's my destiny. I know where I'm going. When we see those young ladies that have worked worked as as they have volunteered, because a lot of the staff at First Choice, many of them, are volunteers. They are going to be honored. I'm just going to want to hang around them because they're going to have all the heavenly good stuff. They're going to be driving the nice chariots or whatever it is. In heaven they're going to have the greatest. They're going to look. They're going to have everything because the work they do.
Awarded. Yeah, that crown they're awarded
Ah.
on the day they arrive in front of Jesus and have something to throw at his feet is
Oh
going to
yeah.
be worth something
It's
nice.
gonna take 30 minutes to unload all the stuff that they have, and throw it at the. And listen, you could be one of those folks that, Lord, here, because you helped First Choice Pregnancy Services in some way. And the great thing about First Choice is you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse. I mean, it'd be great if you are, but you don't have to be. First Choice can use you in any capacity, from data entry to counseling to someone answering the phone. Listen, all you have to do is show up and First Choice is going to make sure that you are doing something that is actually going to help in ministering to these young ladies and families. So, and if you say, you know what, that's a great idea. You know what, I'm going to make that my New Year's resolution. I am going to volunteer at First Choice, even if it's a couple days a month. I'm going to do it. This is a wonderful ministry. I need to be a part. Write this number down, stick it on your refrigerator and say New Year's resolution. You don't even have to wait for New Year's, by the way. New Year's resolution. Here's the number, 702-294-CARE. That's 702-294-2273. You call Deborah. You can call Debbie if you want. Oh, I'm in a lot of trouble now. You call Mrs. Costello and say, Mrs. Costello, I would love to volunteer at this year. I want to put me on the schedule at First Choice and be a part of it. So that, one day when we finally go before the Lord, you see all these wonderful children hanging around you, you're going to say, you know what? Boy, this was a great idea working with First Choice Pregnancy Services, because look at my reward. Look at all these wonderful people that are here.
I'll add on to that. Sunday, shout out to the Wells Church down in Henderson. They had Mission Sunday, and they highlighted I think it was 8 to 10 organizations that they partner with. And First Choice is one of the new ones that they're partnering with in the coming year.
Yay.
And so they didn't have a church service like a normal one. They had panels of 4 of us at a time, and then a few people via video that they had come up and presented to the church a little bit about their organization, so they knew who they were supporting. And at the end of it, each service, they had 3 services, people would come back to the First Choice table and talk to us. And we had, I think, 5.5, almost, I think we were on to the 6th sheet of names we were signing up for new volunteers.
Wow.
And one of the ladies said, after listening to you, because I was talking to them about how we do abortion pill reversals, and was just saying that a lot of people don't realize that these babies are going into our water system, and how I had recently talked to somebody whose son's friend works there, and they said they have a area that has all the little fetuses they have retrieved from the filters.
You know what? I would love to take a picture of that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not something I want to do, but I mean, it needs to be done. And
So this lady was like, I just could not work there. Like, thank you guys for doing what you're doing. I don't think I could interact with these girls. Like, I would be so upset. And so I told her, well, interacting with these girls isn't for everyone. I wouldn't put you in that frying pan if that wasn't where God called you. She said, well, what else would you need help with? And I said, well, just think of all the many things you need to operate a business. You need website stuff. You need administrative type stuff. You need people that clean, people that are handy people, to keep an organization running, whether that's nonprofit or for-profit. The challenges are greater for those that are nonprofit. And she was like, oh, so if God is calling you to get involved and you don't necessarily feel like interacting with a young woman directly is your jam, that's completely fine. There's plenty of other things, and I like to say to a lot of people, God doesn't call the equipped; He equips the called.
Amen.
And so you might not feel like you have much to offer, but each of us has unique talents and gifts that we possess. It's up to us to really lean into that and allow God to lead us where He would like to use us.
Amen. And some of that also can be in the technical department. In fact, I don't know if I should spill the beans yet, but we are fast working towards doing some podcast capabilities at First Choice Pregnancy Services, and the studio is almost done, and we're just got to get some more technical stuff in there, but we got our camera situated. We got just one little more piece of equipment, and we always could use assistance. For those of you who are audiovisual technicians, people who know about electronics, that type of thing, listen, professionals, we could use you. And so, listen, write this number down, the number for First Choice, and say, listen, I want to be a volunteer. I want to help somehow. I have knowledge in this area. Call them, 702-294-CARE, 702-294-2273, and say, listen, I want to volunteer. I want to help. I don't know what I can do, but here's what my background is in. I do XYZ, and if it's computer science related or audiovisual technician, whatever it is, maybe you're one of those guys at church, that sit behind the board. In fact, my son does this for the church we attend. He sits behind the board, and he just makes sure that everything audiovisual is done perfectly, and that that everything is cast to Facebook, Instagram, all that other stuff. They do that during the church service. He makes that happen. And so if that's you, maybe that's you, and you say, I can do that. I know this stuff. I know the software. We could use you. So write the number down. Give us a call.
Or maybe you know how to edit websites. That's always a very useful.
There you go.
Gift that comes handy because it's such a small number of people that do it. It's not everyday talents that people possess in coding website stuff.
Yeah. So that's right. We could use you. And First Choice, again, is a nonprofit organization. We rely on donations. We rely on a lot of volunteers. Yes, there are paid professionals that do work at First Choice because it is a clinic. It is a hospital after all. But yeah, listen, there are positions available for you where you can help, where you can be of assistance and make a difference for life. And what a great, great way to do it. And I often tell folks, I say, Kenny, why are you pro-life? I'm going to listen. Deborah has gotten to do this countless times. I have only gotten to do it a handful of times. But when you hold in your arms a baby that is alive and kicking because of something that you have done, maybe you're emergency professional, like a paramedic or something. You understand this. Right? Because on a daily basis, you go out and you help save lives, right? Okay. But it's a whole different thing when you're holding a little bitty bouncing baby boy or girl, and that baby is alive, and the parent is pointing at you and saying, my baby is alive because of you. Let me tell you something. There are few things in life that will change the course of your life, but that's one of them. And it certainly did in mine. I remember years ago, I had seen a video. And in the video, this lady was talking to a reporter. So the conversation was being videoed. And the news reporter was asking the young lady, well, why are you involved in this pro-life activity? And she says, because I have held in my arms a child that is alive because of what we're doing here today. And when I saw that video, I said, Lord, that's what I want. I want to hold in my arms a child that is alive because of what I'm doing. And the Lord heard that prayer. 2 weeks, folks, 2 weeks went by from the time I offered up that prayer until I was at work. Folks, I was at work when God answered this prayer. And a little coworker whom I didn't realize had gotten pregnant, didn't really know all that well, came in from her maternity leave, found me in the break room and plopped her newborn baby boy in my arms and said, I just wanted you to know that you and those folks that were out there at that abortion facility saved my baby's life. I want to thank you. And I'm stunned. I'm literally, and I'm in early 20-something. I don't know how to handle one of these things. I'm trying to negotiate this baby like Carrie, and I'm trying to hold it. And I'm like, but listen, when that happens to you, your whole world changes. And the amazing thing about First Choice, the beauty of it, that's why this ministry is a diamond. The beauty of it is that these folks do this for a business. This is what they do. And they've done it to the tune of 45,000. 45,000 children are alive, babies that you can hold in your arms. How incredible is that? And you can be a part of it.
Oh, sorry, Ken.
No, I'm just telling you could be a part of it.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're involved in it, you don't know the outcomes of situations. You'll only know the other side of eternity. As you were sharing that story, I had a gal that reached out to me, probably 5 or 6 years ago on Facebook. And she said, are you Deborah Schilling that lived in Kansas City, Missouri? Or Kansas City? And I said, yeah. Did you talk to Mike today? That worked at the pregnancy center, she said. And I said, yeah. And I had gone home to visit. And my sister, or my daughter and I and my kids were walking in a Chick-fil-A that same day. And this guy was holding the door for us coming in. And he said, are you the girl? Oh, you're the girl that worked at the pregnancy center in Kansas City, Kansas. And I'm like, yeah. And he said, I lived across the street. I used to see you and your sister all the time. And I was like, wow, how crazy. Like, I've been gone for 15 years, and this guy recognized me 15 years later walking into a Chick-fil-A that's 25 minutes from where the clinic was. And so that night I get this message, and so I'm thinking, well, this lady must have heard from this guy, and that must be why she's messaging me. And I said, did you talk to Mike today? And she's like, no, I don't know who Mike is. But she had a photo album, her daughter's photo album, that had a picture of me holding the baby in the hospital when she was born.
Wow.
And she said it had my name on the back of it. And her daughter often looked through that book, but she said she'd never had the heart to tell her how I really fit into the picture. And she said, I came to First Choice to abort my baby because I was across the street from an abortion clinic. And I just want you to know that my daughter is 14 years old, and to just thank you. So now her daughter's like 19. It's been like 5 years. But it was so cool to have somebody from so long ago reach out, kind of like the leopard, coming back. Mm-hmm. And it's something else I was going to share. Last Thursday, ICLV, they have done, I think, 3 or 4 now baby showers for our patients. And they're phenomenal events. And I've never had the opportunity to go to one. And last Thursday was crazy, Ken, because, sorry, I totally forgot about you guys. But I left my house. I had a Thanksgiving dinner at my house that night for my husband's squad. But I said, I'm going to make this baby shower because they'd invited me like 2 days before. And so I ran over to ICLV and I walked in, and they had their community room, and their community room had about 20, 25 women that had all come together to throw a baby shower for one of our patients. Mm-hmm. And this patient was one that had come to us, about 6 months ago, I guess, in a really bad situation, and wanted an abortion. Had said she was like violated against her wishes by an ex-boyfriend and whatever. And she ended up coming in, and ended up choosing life for the baby, and now she's due the week of Christmas. And so ICLV had reached out and said, hey, we want to throw another baby shower for one of your patients. Do you have one that you want us to throw it for? And so I walked into this room, and I just was kind of taking it all in. That these ladies that came in and decorated this hall and put on all this food. They had a beautiful baby cake that wasn't your standard, like, grocery store cake. And then they had games, they had pictures, they had people taking notes, and they just put on the dog for this gal and her baby. And it was so awesome. I texted Pastor Mason later, and I said, wow, way to be Jesus to a complete, total stranger. And so right before I left, I found out that this young lady had had a baby a couple of years ago, and the little baby, it was a little girl. And sometime between like 1 to 4 months, she took her in for her vaccinations, and like a day later, the baby ended up passing away. And so she had never had a baby shower with that child, and was getting ready now to have this little boy, and had never had a baby shower for that baby either. And so it was just a bunch of women that decided they're going to do this a couple times a year for ladies at our center who end up keeping their babies, who hadn't planned to keep their babies. And to go witness that and be a part of it, it was just incredible. And, you know, I was listening to the gal talk about it, that the shower was for, and just asking questions about the church. And I thought, you know what, this is a great way for people to, one, support ladies that make those hard choices to choose life when they're in horrible situations, and two, to show them who Jesus is, and hopefully in doing that, bring them to know the Lord and get them involved in the church.
Yeah.
So that was just a very cool experience last week. If any of you guys listening, gals, would like to throw a baby shower for a mother to be, let us know. We've had a few churches that have done it. I think 2 or 3 churches that have done it so far. And it's always incredible to get the pictures, but to go actually witness it in person was really awesome and rewarding.
You know, typically guys aren't allowed to go to these type of baby showers. I would love to go to a baby shower like that, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll make sure to invite you next time.
Absolutely. I'm not kidding. I mean, you know, I probably wouldn't stay for the whole thing because, you know, there's 7,000 women and one guy. But but the joy, right? Bruni, the production manager, she's laughing back there. But, I mean, you know, it's such a wonderful thing, and what a great idea. You know, a baby shower for an expecting mom who had probably had a lot of other plans, something else, you know, in mind. And, you know, talking about, you know, coming up to Thanksgiving and everything, man, you would be eternally thankful, right, to start off this new baby with a new life and full of joy and hope and destiny and just so much promise. And what, you know, how grateful to be. And then how, wouldn't it be wonderful? Right? Here you had this unplanned pregnancy, right? And you were contemplating the worst. And then suddenly, you know, you contact First Choice and, hey, you know what? I changed my mind. You know what? I'm not going to do this after all. And then these, you know, you, a volunteer who's listening right now, decide to throw a baby shower, right? And in throwing the baby shower for this mom who doesn't know the Lord, right, sees the love and generosity, right, pouring out of folks she doesn't even know, for a baby, right, for her own child and for her. And what a great witness. How could she not come running to the Lord because of what you're doing? And what a great way to witness the love of Christ to someone, especially, you know, whether it's Thanksgiving or any time of year, to be frank. So maybe you have a gifting in that area. You know, the wonderful thing about ministry is it doesn't really matter what your qualifications are. If you're able to give in a certain area, then make that gift available and call First Choice and see if it can be used of God in any way to help these young ladies. And don't be surprised when the answer is, oh, of course we can use that. We've been waiting for you to call. So here's the number, 702-294-CARE. That's 702-294-2273. And maybe you're one of those young ladies out there today. Maybe you're out there and you're saying, you know what, Thanksgiving is coming and Christmas is coming and I'm pregnant and I'm not, this is not what I thought this was going to be. And my goodness, you want to give First Choice a call, because First Choice is the reason we exist, is to help young ladies just like you find out what we can do to help. Find out. You would be amazed at the resources that are there for you that you had no idea that are available. Right? Not on top of the fact that there's a lot of folks, wonderful ladies and staff and folks and people like me that would just love to meet you and help minister to you. Give First Choice a call, 702-294-2273. Well, Deborah, I got to do my sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
I got to do my sponsor before we close the show, and. Folks, listen, remember, the sponsors are what keeps us on the air, so you want to give our sponsors a call. In this case, it's Kelly Chiropractic. Now, Kelly Chiropractic, that's Dr. Ray Kelly. Listen, folks, if you're in pain, it doesn't matter what your pain is, right? It's almost like a pain management center, but it's the good kind. First, give Dr. Kelly a call. Let's take a look at your x-ray, or if you have MRI, depending on what your situation is, bring all of that to Dr. Kelly. Dr. Kelly has been in this business for over 30 years, right? He has a doctorate in chiropractic care, but not just that. Not only does he treat injuries from falls and accidents and car crashes and work-related incidents, he does plantar fasciitis. He treats high blood pressure, right? Even allergy-induced autism. There's a lot of things that he does there. He does chronic arthritis, pain, and inflammation care and therapy. Right? So for those of you who are suffering, like, getting a little older, got a little arthritis here or there, maybe your golf swing isn't quite what it used to be. Listen, the only way I can play golf is because of Dr. Kelly Chiropractic. And I love golf. I'd go crazy if I wasn't, halfway there now. But give Doc Kelly a call, Kelly Chiropractic. His number, 702-870-9200. And just so you know, he uses a combination of adjustments, right? So he's going to look at you. But he also looks at things like nutrition and physiotherapy. And he has, this is the part that I really love, he has natural and herbal remedies to counter some of the drugs that the pharmaceuticals. I don't like pharmaceuticals. I don't like them, especially for example, he's got a great product, a natural muscle relaxer. Because the muscle relaxers you get from the pharmaceuticals, they send you in outer space. Don't want to be in orbit. I want to be able to do the show, right? Right? I want to be able to work, right? And so he's got natural herbal remedies, natural muscle relaxers like a vitamin. Plus, he has neurological relaxation techniques. Listen, give Doc Kelly a call. Kelly Chiropractic, one of the proud sponsors of the Champions for Life radio broadcast. Here's his number, 702-870-9200. That's 702-870-9200. Or look him up, DocKelly.com. DocKelly.com has got a list of all the stuff that he does, more than I can tell you on this sheet. And he's going to help you. I promise you. If I could tell you the testimony, I am such a fan of Doc Kelly. And not only that, he's a pastor too. How cool is that? So not only is he's going to bend you back into shape and treat whatever your chronic pain situation is, but he'll pray for you too. Maybe they invite you to church on Sunday. We love Doc Kelly. So one of the proud sponsors of the Champions for Life radio broadcast. So there you go.
Awesome.
And now it's the end of the show.
It pretty much wraps us up for the night.
Yep. Well, listen, Deborah, thank you for being here.
Great time with Nevada for Life. I'm going to the Mercy Me concert, so we're both going to go have a great time. Oh,
you're going to a concert, and I'm going to a function.
A celebration of life.
A celebration of life. Yes, we are. So it's going to be a great night. Well, folks, listen, it's been wonderful. Thank you, Deborah. God bless you. And
Thank you.
have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful Christmas. God bless you. See you next week.
Thanks for joining us for the Champions for Life radio broadcast, the outreach ministry of First Choice Pregnancy.